Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Our top story: on the eve of China's biggest holiday, a televised New Year gala was cut off mid-show. Viewers praised the gala's portrayal of tradition and everyday life. Now, questions are growing about why the broadcast was shut down. President Trump says he'll soon decide on a major arms sale to Taiwan following a call with Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping. The U.S. is sending more advanced missiles to the Philippines. The move strengthens America's military presence near the South China Sea, and it comes as tensions with Beijing continue to rise. High-tech tools now being used to suppress faith. Chinese AI systems are censoring Falun Gong, a spiritual group persecuted by Beijing, taking censorship to a new level. And Texas is suing TP-Link over alleged ties to China. Officials warn the company could pose risks to U.S. national security. People across the globe are celebrating the Lunar New Year today, ringing in the Year of the Horse. From Taiwan to Buenos Aires, crowds gather to mark the holiday and welcome a new year of prosperity and good fortune.
Every year of the horse is special, or rather, the years of the horse make us think of a special year. The horse arrives and brings success, and believe it or not, we have been working with that energy for a month for this event.
I hope that my job will be smooth in the coming year and that I find a new job that I like.
In Taipei, the historic Bao'an Temple was struck 108 times to welcome the new year. The number 108 is considered auspicious in Chinese culture. In Buenos Aires, the city's Chinatown kicked off a multi-day celebration featuring cultural performances, art, and a wide variety of traditional foods. The new lunar cycle marks the year of the fire horse, the seventh sign in the Chinese zodiac. Zodiac signs are based on birth year and repeat every 12 years. Today marks the start of the Lunar New Year in China, the country's most important holiday, similar to Christmas and New Year combined in the United States. It's typically marked by large televised gala shows organized by state broadcasters in Beijing and regional authorities across the country. This year, though, one of those shows didn't go as planned. A televised Lunar New Year gala in central China's Henan province is making headlines after viewers said the broadcast was suddenly cut short. Many posted online saying the show was expected to last 4 hours, but less than 2 hours actually aired. The incident quickly shot to the top of China's trending topics and is now drawing attention overseas. Let's take a look.
Even though Henan's Chinese New Year gala was cut off mid-broadcast, viewers still seemed entertained. Some joked online that the show was probably better than the central government's gala. They must be jealous. Others said, the more they try to block it, the more we want to watch. This year, Henan's show leaned heavily on traditional Chinese culture. One segment told stories of Taoism, heaven, and immortals, a striking contrast to the Chinese Communist Party's official atheism. Another performance called The Long Night Ends had a name that gave voice and hope to unemployed youth, displaced middle-aged workers, retirees without pensions, and underpaid civil servants. A China expert says the abrupt shutdown of Henan's gala signals a significant shift in Chinese society.
To abruptly cut off a major live TV broadcast by a provincial TV station, the order almost certainly came from central authorities, at least from China's top internet regulator or even higher. That could include the Ministry of Public Security, the Central Propaganda Department, the Central Office, or the Ministry of State Security. We have to face a reality. Under the Chinese Communist Party system today, there is no truly safe space for expression. And if even a holiday stage performance must be judged through the lens of national security, how can ordinary people live, or breathe, or even speak freely?
In China, under CCP's rule, all media as well as cultural and entertainment content is tightly controlled and must serve the party's agenda. Even programs aired during the country's most important holiday go through multiple layers of approval before they can reach viewers.
In China, a provincial TV station's Lunar New Year Gala isn't just a cultural performance, it's a political propaganda product. Before it airs, the program must pass multiple layers of review. First within the TV station, then by the provincial government, and finally by national regulators. At the same time, the Ministry of Public Security and the Cyberspace Administration assess potential public opinion risks. Even after clearing all approvals, the live broadcast is monitored in real time. If anything unusual happens, or if a superior calls, the signal can be cut on the spot.
In recent years, free speech in China has shrunk even further. Last November, a popular influencer with 2 million followers was wiped off the internet after saying that most iPhone users are elites, while Android users are lower class. Authorities accuse him of spreading negative sentiment and dividing society. This January, Chinese regulators permanently banned 22 prominent finance-focused social media accounts for allegedly spreading rumors and bearing the market. The crackdown on speech isn't limited to mainland China. A few years ago, Hong Kong's national security law led to the suppression of pro-democracy figures, including Jimmy Lai, the founder of Apple Daily. Even in the U.S., Beijing has targeted a New York-based performing arts group for depicting a China without the Communist Party, with Chinese embassies and consulates actively working to block the performances.
President Trump says he will soon decide on a major arms sale to Taiwan. He made the remark after discussions with Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping. The decision comes as tensions remain high over Taiwan, a key flashpoint in U.S.-China relations. Trump said Monday that he spoke with Xi about the potential arms sale. He added that their relationship remains strong despite differences. Trump also said he expects to visit China in April for talks with Xi. Xi has repeatedly warned that Taiwan is the most sensitive issue in U.S.-China relations. Last December, Washington approved an over $11 billion weapons package for Taiwan, the largest ever proposed for the island. Days later, Beijing carried out large-scale live-fire drills near Taiwan. Ahead of a possible April meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, Washington is stepping up efforts to counter Beijing's influence. At the APEC forum in Guangzhou last week, U.S. officials urged regional partners to choose American technology over China's. And the southern Chinese city, U.S. officials showcased American artificial intelligence and maritime surveillance systems, part of a broader push to compete with China's growing tech presence. According to Reuters, Casey Mace, the senior U.S. official to APEC, said the administration has launched a $20 million fund to help regional economies adopt American AI technology. A major military move in the Indo-Pacific, the United States plans to deploy more advanced missile systems to the Philippines. It comes as Washington and Manila step up efforts to push back against China's growing pressure in the South China Sea. Following high-level talks, U.S. and Philippine officials condemned what they called China's illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive actions in the disputed waters. In a joint statement released Tuesday after the annual security talks, Washington and Manila also announced plans to strengthen defense cooperation. They said that includes sending more advanced U.S. missile and other unmanned systems to the Philippines this year. Officials also discussed improving U.S. missile launchers. Philippine leaders say the systems are mainly for deterrence. China strongly opposed similar U.S. deployments in 2024. That included the Typhoon mid-range missile system and an anti-ship launcher stationed in the northern Philippines near strategic waters close to Taiwan. Beijing demanded the systems be removed, but the Philippine president refused. Now, the new deployments come as both treaty allies expand joint military drills and upgrade the Philippine armed forces. Officials also announced plans for another high-level 2+2 meeting in the U.S. later this year. They're also moving forward with new economic projects, including a freight rail line linking former U.S. bases in the Philippines. Most members of Congress support Taiwan in protecting itself from an invasion by the Chinese Communist Party. The leader of the Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping, has ordered his military to be ready for a potential attack on Taiwan by 2027. Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appeared to stumble when questioned about the issue at the Munich Security Conference. NTD's Jack Bradley spoke with an expert about it. Let's take a look at the clip first.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point.
She's talking about a long-standing policy of strategic ambiguity, but what's your response to this reaction? Do you think that there's a wing that won't support defending Taiwan from the CCP among AOC fellow progressives?
So my response to this is the way that she just stammered is exactly why I don't go on TV talking about issues that I'm not aware of and that I don't study about, because it's very easy to not just get a Freudian slip on something that you don't really mean to say, but also this just shows that she's green on foreign policy, that she isn't as apt to be able to discuss these issues, and maybe she's not ready for a conference like Munich. You know, what she could have talked about was the importance of Taiwan in the first island chain. What she could have talked about was why Taiwan is important to our defense industrial base in the United States. What she could have talked about is the many raging battles that we have across many frontiers with China at the moment. What she could have talked about was the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act that we have. She could have talked about many of these things, but instead she just kind of waffled because she's not really sure what she's talking about. And if this is the left's best home run hitter that they have, I'm not too worried about the upcoming elections, at least when it comes to our foreign policy in the coming years. So I would really like to see the left get a better handle on their position on a couple of foreign policy issues. I would really like for us to understand that national security issues are a bipartisan or nonpartisan issue. This is something that we all want, left, right, and center, is the safety and security for Americans, whether it is here on our homeland or around the world. And that is what we are all fighting for. And so I think AOC or Congresswoman, AOC needs to get her talking points straight on her position points on many of these conflicts.
I'm sure she'll be ready to answer that question if asked again in the future. Taylor Hathorn, thank you so much for your insights here today. Really appreciate it.
Falun Gong, a spiritual group persecuted by Beijing, is being heavily censored by Chinese AI systems. That's according to a new report from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. The study found that several major Chinese-developed models gave no responses in Chinese when asked about the group. In English, they produced far fewer answers than on almost any other sensitive issue. Let's zoom in. The report shows these systems not only refuse to answer, but also distort narratives. And they echo Chinese Communist Party propaganda by framing Falun Gong as a public threat. Falun Gong is a peaceful meditation practice based on the values of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Researchers warn this pattern demonstrates how AI is being weaponized to export censorship and political influence beyond China's borders. China is already the world's largest exporter of AI surveillance technologies. Experts say democratic societies must adopt safeguards to protect free expression and prevent authoritarian messaging from spreading through AI tools globally. Texas is suing Chinese network equipment maker TP-Link. State Attorney General Ken Paxton says the company is trying to conceal its ties to the Chinese Communist Party.
Paxton says that despite its claims of privacy and security, TP-Link's products have been used by Chinese state-sponsored hackers to launch multiple cyber attacks against the U.S. He adds that TP-Link's ownership and supply chain are tied to China. The company is subject to China's national data laws, which allow the CCP to have access to U.S. devices, as nearly all of its products' parts come from China. The Texas Attorney General says the company poses a national security threat, and the lawsuit should, quote, serve as a clear warning to any Chinese entity seeking to compromise our nation's security. The Lone Star State says the lawsuit is part of a broader initiative to protect Texans' data, and the Texas Attorney General will file more lawsuits this week against companies aligned with the Chinese regime.
Coming up, Chinese online retailer Shein is under investigation in Europe. Officials say the probe focuses on illegal products and potentially addictive design features. America First is a key part of U.S. foreign policy, but how does that approach apply to arms sales to allies? Our experts break down what it means and what comes next. Welcome back to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. The European Union has opened a formal investigation into Chinese online retailer Shein. Officials say it's looking into the sale of illegal products and concerns over potentially addictive design features. The probe falls under the EU's Digital Services Act. Companies found in violation could face fines up to 6% of their global annual revenue.
Today, the Commission is launching a formal investigation into Shein under the Digital Services Act. We suspect that the company has breached the DSA in 3 areas. First one, a highly addictive design for our consumers in the EU with rewards programs and a gamification of the service. Second, a lack of transparency on recommender systems. Third, the sale of illegal products online. What are these illegal products? This includes weapons, and this includes child sexual abuse material, such as childlike sex dolls.
Shein may be required to alter its actions or pay a hefty fine if a so-called non-compliance decision is reached following an in-depth investigation. The fast fashion giant came under fire last year in France, where authorities found illegal weapons, including firearms, knives, and machetes, as well as childlike sex dolls for sale on its website. Shein and its Chinese rival Temu have become the most high-profile symbols of broader concerns over the flow of cheap Chinese products into Europe. How will U.S. arms sales change under President Trump's America First arms transfer strategy? We look at a new op-ed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as well as Rubio's recent comments in Munich. To break it down, we spoke with Andrew Harding, Senior Associate for National Security Coalitions at the Heritage Foundation, and Mike Sorelli, a former Navy SEAL and military and national security analyst. Andrew, Rubio and Hegseth in the op-ed emphasizing President Trump's commitment to peace through strength, citing a recent executive order that will ensure U.S. weapons get delivered to our partners in a timely manner. How big of a shift is this from our current system?
Well, it's good to be back. And I think this is a very big shift. It's President Trump making very clear that time is no longer on our side when it comes to getting the necessary reforms to put America first and to keep American citizens and allies safe. Whether we're thinking about a potential conflict with China, or as we're seeing right now with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and of course, monitoring the situation with Iran and always with North Korea up to something, it's very important that the defense industrial base is absolutely ready to roll to ensure that America and its troops have the platforms and munitions necessary to deter a conflict, but if needed, also to win a conflict. So this executive order ensures that these bottlenecks are addressed and ensures that allies that have strategic interests in geographies that are aligned to the United States are prioritized. And it also ensures that there's accountability with a quarterly report being introduced to ensure that those in the defense industrial base supplying America with its needed arms, as well as its allies, are able to be held accountable by the public as well as Congress to ensure that America's security is put first and that we're able to ensure that safety is maximized as quickly as possible.
And Mike, what would this look like in practice?
Andrew is right. There's a very unique threat environment in front of us. And through this order, Trump, Hegseth, and Marco Rubio are really revitalizing Arsenal of Democracy 2.0. They're aligning diplomacy with industrial production. So it does aid us by giving our allies what they need. It holds ourselves accountable. And we've heard a lot of tough rhetoric from the Trump administration towards our NATO allies. Not only the increase in their GDP spend for defense, but now we're looking in the mirror and saying, hey, if you pay a bill, you're not going to get hit with a 5-year wait list. We're going to get you what you need now. It has security implications across the globe.
And Andrew, digging in here, the secretaries highlight streamlining our diplomatic and defensive systems so that from the start, export of our weapons to our partners is a priority. What would a change like this mean for global deterrence?
Well, I think this type of change is very helpful when it comes to deterring America's adversaries from taking any chance against testing America's armed services and those that keep us safe. I think what's very important here, and as Mike noted, as the executive order discusses, is that it's going to prioritize allies that are able to increase their defense spending, that takes their own defense seriously, and they're effectively showing that money talks, that they are backing their rhetoric with spending and ensuring that they're putting their sovereignty, their national defense first, and indicating to the United States that they are capable partners. President Trump and the administration has made very clear that the United States wants capable partners and allies, not dependencies. And this executive order is very much in that line that rewards. It provides an incentive structure for America's allies and partners to work closely with U.S. interests, to identify where our interests align and collectively ensure that we're able to have global deterrence against adversaries or actors that may want to act against us.
And Mike, there's been a lot of focus and praise on Secretary of State Marco Rubio's speech in Munich. Many see it as a reassuring message of the U.S. as a partner. Here's actually part of that speech now.
Together, we can reindustrialize our economies and rebuild our capacity to defend our people. But the work of this new alliance should not be focused just on military cooperation and reclaiming the industries of the past. It should also be focused on together advancing our mutual interests in new frontiers, unshackling our ingenuity, our creativity, and the dynamic spirit to build a new Western century.
Mike, what do you make of the tone here? It seems quite different from past speeches from the administration.
Yes, much different than especially the World Economic Forum in Davos. You know, we've given our very strong criticism of our NATO allies and other allies, and rightfully that was well placed. But ultimately, when we look in the mirror and we come back and say, hey, we are not being quick enough with our industrial production as well as delivery to our allies. Again, we're acknowledging that we've fallen short in certain aspects of our agreement as allies. You know, at the end of the day, Tiffany, the U.S. controls about 40% of the global arms market. I think we have over 900 billion in orders, delayed orders with about 190 partners. The key thing here is that when we don't deliver on time, and it's no different than a consumer buying a product, if they know the lead time is going to be, let's just say, just extraordinarily ridiculous, they're going to look elsewhere for the arms. We know we produce the best tech. We just showed that with the raid on to capture Maduro, where we defeated the anti-aircraft weapons of both Russia and China. Our military technology is the finest in the world. Our allies depend on that. Our allies deserve that. And to Andrew's point, stronger allies across the globe leads to more deterrence from the United States. So they definitely did a good job, Marco Rubio, with sort of bridging that criticism into, hey, we've said what we need to say. You are stepping up with your GDP defense, and we are going to step up in kind to get you what you need when you need it.
Andrew Harding, Mike Sarraille, thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany.
That's all for today's China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. If you have any feedback on the show or have something you'd like to see us cover, send us an email at chinainfocus@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you. Round-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.